Take a second to picture this. You're standing lineside near a railroad yard, maybe doing some train spotting, and suddenly you feel the vibrations of an incoming train. And maybe pee yourself because you're a dirty foamer. But when the consist comes around the corner, you see a strange-looking sort of vehicle at the front of it. You can almost swear it's a locomotive. It may even share the livery of one, but it doesn't appear to have a cab or really make any sound. Then the normal train passes and you do pee yourself. But what was that strange unit we saw before? That, ladies and gentlemen, was a railroad slug, a different type of diesel-electric locomotive, which lacks a prime mover and again often a cab, with any electrical power it needs to operate being given to it by a mother unit. When coupled together, the slug unit will take any excess power generated by the mother unit, and using that will provide additional horsepower and braking. In simpler terms, it gives the advantages of an extra locomotive without needing the extra locomotive, but does need a normal locomotive or a mother unit to be powered. Kinda similar to the British Class 13, which we also talked about recently. The biggest difference is the mother unit doesn't need to be modified to work with the slug unit, nor are the two permanently coupled together. But they do work in a similar way, with both attempting to utilize the advantages of two locomotives in a single unit. Speaking of the word, another vehicle that slugs are often confused for are B units, which in themselves look a lot like slugs, but are quite different in the fact that they actually have prime movers, as well as traction motors, but just like a slug unit oftentimes have no cab. In some cases, a slug may end up actually keeping its cab, that being should engineers ever want to operate a consist with it in lead. That or it's completely removed to save space, as well as improve visibility. At slower speeds, the prime mover in the diesel-electric locomotive is capable of producing more electricity than it's actually able to use. And while extra power may seem like a good thing, in terms of locomotives it's often not. That extra power often leads to wheel slip, or in worse cases overheating of the traction motor. When in use, the slug will increase the number of traction motors available to the locomotive, and help to increase both the pulling and braking force. Essentially, the slug is adhesive weight, which allows locomotives to run at full power at slower speeds. Since slugs lack a prime mover, they typically carry ballast to increase their weight and improve their traction, often in the form of large bricks of concrete, and as a standalone unit can either be built brand new or converted from an older locomotive. The latter option is the one normally chosen, however, as it's a way to reuse obsolete locomotives, especially ones with worn-out prime movers. There's three different types of slugs a locomotive may end up being. That being a yard slug, a hump slug, and a road slug. Road slugs are made to be part of a normal consist, and hump slugs being made for even slower use than the yard ones, made to push longer cut cars over large humps. And there's also motors for added tractive effort, or mates, which are similar to slugs, but their design is quite a bit different. While slugs siphon off power from a locomotive, the axles in a mate are fully connected to the locomotive it's attached to through a transition series, but similar to the B units admittedly look a lot like slugs. You've likely been wondering why these units are even called slugs, and honestly I don't really know, there's not a direct reason that I could find, but I personally would attribute it to their speed, as well as their quite strange appearance. Slugs may be also called by another name, however. For example, on the Santa Fe they're known as drones, or on the Southern Pacific they're known as TBOOs, or tractive effort booster units. These, however, all basically mean the same thing, and refer to more or less the same vehicle, if not a different subset of it. And this, ladies and gentlemen, has been your very quick, very basic crash course on railroad slugs. So the next time you're out lineside or maybe near a yard, and just so happen to see a strange looking vehicle with no cab, hopefully now you'll be able to identify what it is. And also brought an extra pair of pants, you dirty foamer.
Either subscribe, donate, or get the fuck out.